great things that are happening because we have another matchup we gotta talk about here, Fusion. It is gonna be the team that we noted was the Duck Motif pick of Duck Testing. They're up against Ditto here. I do recognize one person being Ivy Wumi from Ditto here, but that is a matchup. And for those, by the way, who are just tuning in, this is another round 2 matchup from the bottom side of the bracket this time. So if you remember the first 2 maps being Ramen Zones and Inkblot Art Academy Target Control, rinse and repeat those map lists for this one.
Yeah, going to be seeing some more of the same. We'll perhaps see a little bit of a different dynamic. Something that I saw, Bandit was at the first sea battle. Bandit, I think, is coming out to the next sea battle as well, which is very cool. They're an extremely talented Charger player. I mean, we already know like all of these players from their long histories and accolades playing the game, as well as members of Ditto on the other side. But Duck Motif has been doing some really, really interesting things with their team compositions. We've seen some actually Winter Rapid coming out from Bandit as well. They've been playing like an interesting mix of stuff. And I think a lot of teams have kind of defaulted to Pencil for a long, long time, but it's kind of, you know, it's like been fine. It's like having the Zap on your team in Splatoon 2, I guess. It's like, yeah, it is just the glue, but it lets you do a lot of interesting things with your team comp. We've been seeing some of that. I mean, Red Shell's always on, or very frequently on, some kind of brush. Yeah, I love seeing Duck Motif play just because you don't really know exactly what you're going to get from them, but it's always going to be aggressive.
I always love seeing Duck Motif in majority tournaments. SOS was one of them. I remember. I think we both did it. We both did a Duck Motif for Super Jump, I'm pretty sure, in the past. So it's always fun. It's always fun to just watch them again. I know aptly they're named Duck Testing here because they're taking on Kaden, which, if you remember Kaden, they were part of the Halcyon roster from. I think Halcyon participated in the NA League this past fall season too. So that's the 4th member rounding out this this 3/4 Duck Motif pickup. So I'm gonna be intrigued to see what at least this Duck Testing group. I would love to call you Duck Motif, but we gotta call you Duck Testing here for this group. I want to see how much they do. Of course, Ditto being half of Honkai, and according to the other part of Sendu, which I had them open. Give me a hot second here. The half Honkai, half Trout population be the other team. That is pretty much what Ditto is. And surprisingly, Ditto is also not the Pokemon icon. I'm actually kind of pleased by this, of all things. That's what I'm noting. It's you know what, I'm always kind of amused. That just threw me off guard of all things here, Fusion. That's just kind of what I like. I just love to have their producer also knowing that it looks like a Chikawa there as well. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. This is what I get for not having enough knowledge here, Fusion. That's all I can say so far.
Wait, that's a Ditto?
It's nighttime. Wait, that's what I was realizing.
What do you mean that's a Ditto? That's just Chikawa. I don't know anything about Chikawa.
Don't worry, the producer's trolling us. Look, the producer's trolling us. I'm being completely caught off guard.
You got us good pipe dream.
Pipe dream, by the way, our producer completely got me, especially, Fusion.
Yeah.
If it got you to, yeah, this is how tonight's gonna go for both of us. I think that's how it's gonna. There, we're gonna be going over the weapons. Let's review the map list here before I start to lose it here this evening. But again, for those tuning in, this is basically the same map list that we saw from the previous round. You have not missed anything. So we're back to Ramen Zones, and of course, game 2 being Inkbot Art Academy Target Control. I mean, Fusion, we saw Ramen Zones from the earlier set. A lot of back forth fights happening towards the lockout area. Maybe we could see something different for this particular map. I also wouldn't be shocked if it goes off the beaten path and they just fight around the zone of all things.
Yeah, I definitely expect to see a little bit more of that, just kind of the head-to-head fights that we've seen in the past. Some more like pencil versus pencil, just keeping each other at arm's length for a minute and a half. But we should see some interesting things going on, especially, wow, okay, we've got some interesting things coming out here. I mean, I'm not like the most surprised in the world to see like Bandit on the Charger, but Caden on the Dually Squelchers. I have not seen like vanilla Dually Squelchers in a hot minute, as well as that L3, that new nozzle nose. What is that one? That is, I think it's Kraken, right? If I'm not mistaken.
I think that's the Kraken. If the producer can give us the quick what the weapon of the weapon is, because I am totally blanking on it too. It might also be the one with the perfect.
That's right. This is like the fake novel of the.
Yeah, I think it is. Well, I'll give you the exact kit here in just a bit, but the action is, of course, happening here with 80 points remaining. Duck Testing, in this case, is able to get the lockout. And Red Shell, of course, on their famed Alta Brush, is able to get one bake over the other. It's going to be a delayed 3 situation. One member gain respawn. That is being the L3 nozzle nose in this situation. Fusion, it looks like Duck Testing are back to their silly ways as they make it past the halfway marker. Ultimate doesn't get a value, but Zeal, this one, the Inkjet, that solves our mystery. Gets one member. That's Red Shell that has dropped. 37 points remain. Fusion, it is Duck Testing running with it, and they might be looking for the KO here soon.
That was a kind of miraculous, like, toe touches the Ink Strike pick. But nonetheless, still the zone has not been capped. Duck Testing still in control. No specials left. Okay, the Inkjet is left, but versus a Charger, it's certainly going to have to play very far back. The zone is still quite yellow. Ditto does not have enough paint to capture the zone just yet. There's so much paint that's coming out on the side of Duck Testing, but finally the tides turn a little bit. So at least for now, Ditto has a second chance to catch their breath, get some specials, and get going again, but not before Red Shell finds 2 and puts Ditto back against the wall.
Yeah, Ditto gonna have to play a little bit of recovery once again coming out of spawn. I do have the exact kit for you, Fusion, here. The Glitters nozzle nose being this Splat Bomb and Inkjet, just for us to remember if we get to see it again from Zeal in a future map here. But nevertheless, Woomy using that Ultra Slam, going a little bit over on that toss. It is going to be Ditto at least neutralizing it for now. Zeal using the Inkjet to paint around this zone. Lucine trying to see if they can find one member. Is just going to be a bit wide on that shot. Woomy is still trying to contest with all their might, waiting for the teams to big up here. Woomy trying to flank a little bit from the right-hand side of the map as Ditto does get the zones in their favor. Woomy is able to get a pick onto Caden. Will they get the second one? They're going to have to just retreat for their lives here. Now trying to see if they can throw off with the Ultra Stamp, but there is nobody that pops out of it. Ultra Stamp's just going to be chucked into the wayside. 2 members have gone down. 3 are gonna go down here soon. Gonna be the official wipeout to put that on top there. Fusion, a valiant effort from Ditto, but Duck Testing will get the zones back. All they lose is just a tiny bit of points in the grand scheme of this map.
Yeah, Duck Testing in control, but a quick aside, I'm extremely impressed by IB Woomy's Wiper play there. Extremely difficult to play it against weapons like the Dually Squelchers, which outrange you and also can strafe, as well as that Ink Brush. Found a few surprising picks at the end, and that's going to allow Ditto to at least get some more space towards the zone. Now, just stalling for time, maintaining a presence on the zone, but the rest of Duck Testing, or sorry, the rest of Ditto is not going to be able to make it anywhere close. Duck Testing just once they gain that ground, they did not give in again, so they are going to end up taking that first game and in this best of 3.
Yeah, that first game being in the best of 3, I mean, it was pretty much Duck Testing running that one from the get-go there. A valiant effort, honestly, from Ditto. You noted there too, Woomy, with that Wiper play, pretty much doing what they needed to do, and all the vision being there for that Ultra Stand, trying to see if they can catch anybody off guard. Duck Testing wasn't buying any of it. They pretty much knew where Woomy was, so that pretty much just spelled the end. Pretty much delayed the inevitable there. Duck Testing up 1-0. One more map win, they go on to semifinals. That will be happening here in the Inkbot Art Academy Tower Control if they are able to do so. Now, the weapons I'm going to be curious about here, if the VDS does make a return, if that Glitters nozzle nose makes a return once more. Maybe Zeal might be trying to cook up something with that composition, but as you saw there, Fusion from the first map, there was no answer from Ditto dealing with Duck Testing, so I wouldn't be shocked that there were changes.
Yeah, there could be some changes going into this one. I expect at least a couple. I feel like you'd be hard pressed to pull out the Dually Squelchers on a map like this. I feel like it's really okay, but Caden's incredible at Dually Squelcher, so I don't know anything. It seems very challenging to attack people who are on the tower with those dually squelchers, but it does provide a very nice amount of pressure that can help deal with all of the short-range weapons that are coming out on the side of Ditto. So Caden's going to be sticking with those squelchers here early in this game. It's going to allow Duck Testing to get a few picks and seems like get off to a strong early start, but the pencil Digipa is going to be able to find a pick, slow the momentum at least a little bit, and make it more difficult for them to get this first checkpoint, especially when combined with a nice inkjet snipe from Zeal. So we find ourselves back near square one here at the start of game 2.
Yeah, game 2 back to where the game basically started from spawn, and now we get to see a lot of skirmishing here. Pretty much a departure from what we saw earlier today, where I believe Count My Band. No, it was the other group there, Ascension, basically running that one with an early start. Now both teams are pretty much just stuck into this neutral fight there. Wumi surprisingly not able to get anybody with that ultrasound. You figured the hitbox might catch one off guard, but that's not going to be the case here, as Duck Testing barely gets that first checkpoint save. Somehow only a 1 point difference there. That first checkpoint is going to inevitably go down. The question is going to be which team is going to be the one to do so. The trip strikes are being tossed across the map. Zeal is stuck in no man's land, going to get completely outdone there by Caden on those vanilla dually squelchers. 2 members have gone down. This is going to be Duck Testing's push coming up here, but they will get stalled out here with 2 points left. This is going to be an extended leader here, if anything. First checkpoint, will they get it? The answer is no, as Wumi does get that wiper double slash in, and Wumi prevents the first checkpoint from being taken out. Fusion 3:13 left to go on the clock. Surprisingly enough, the first checkpoint is nowhere to be taken.
Yeah, it is still intact, despite, I mean, those strikes from Bandit were absolutely incredible. There was absolutely nowhere to retreat to except into the enemy team. Despite that, Ditto managed to come out mostly unscathed. I mean, the strikes from Bandit were incredible, but the strikes on the other side coming out from Ditto were huge as well. And both of these teams are struggling so much just to get past this first checkpoint. There's just so many avenues with which they can shoot at this tower, especially with those pencils or charger. And I mean, Wumi's just been so good around these corners here in mid, finding a couple more picks. This is this is Wumi's world, and we're living in it. Despite that, it is still almost a 0-0 game. Nobody, actually, excuse me. Ditto does have that first checkpoint, so that does provide them some advantage here, but it's been repeatedly Duck Testing just pushing against that first check. So it seems like at any moment that dam is going to burst and the points are going to start coming, but remains to be seen. There goes that first checkpoint. Here comes Duck Testing, Kyon.
Here comes Duck Testing. Now they've broken through exactly what you called on time. It is going to be the dam breaking through, excuse me, as it is going to be the ultrasound being used here. Wumi is trying to stamp out the ever elusive wave breaker need to be stamped out of there, and that will be basically Wumi chucking that ultrastamp gone. Zeal takes out Caden. Nobody going through this treacherous second checkpoint that can always be tough to get in any situation. A minute and 25 left to go on the clock. Now the inkjet being used here. They're trying to go for Riki, who's trying to escape with their lives. 2 members cornering Riki. Zeal is going to be flying too close to Caden though, and they're going to be neutralized just like that. All the tower fighting here, Fusion. A minute and 10 left to go on the clock, and Duck Testing only barely hanging on to a lead. But now the 1-1 checkpoint being tied here. It's going to come down to some key plays here. Duck Testing might be looking to break this one through.
Yeah, and it seems like they're going to for certain here. The points are going to continue coming. We've already got 2 members of Duck Testing up ahead in that bats. Caden on the dually squelchers combined with red shells. Zipcaster are going to do quite a bit of damage. That tower is going to easily roll past that second checkpoint, and still it's so dangerous to try and get close to that tower. But multiple members coming from multiple angles is going to allow Ditto to recapture their plat and give themselves at least an opportunity to stay alive. This is, I believe, their tournament match. They are playing for their tournament life at this point. They need to get past that second checkpoint, but in order to do that, they need to watch those flanks. Red shell comes in, a bomb finds Wumi. Ditto, 10 seconds left, has to make a move right now.
The move has to be right now for Ditto. They are able to take 2 members out of the picture. This is going to be GG strikes imminent here if they're not able to eliminate the Zeko Firefin there. And it looks like, no, the Trip Strikes isn't going to be there. So now someone has to swim right into this tower, which I think, yep, there's going to be Riki right on cue. Q able to swim right to it. Ditto pretty much had everything nearly put together on that last push. But when the Ink Strikes are pretty much ready to go from Duck Testing, there's just no chance you can swim right through it. Duck Testing 2-0 over Ditto. They move on to semifinals. They're going to be taking on Race to the Line, which we will be seeing here rather soon. So what a great continued start here for Duck Testing, also known as Duck Motif, coming into that game too. And Fusion, a lot of things to really hone in on there with Duck Testing able to take that one through despite the struggle bus that was the first checkpoint.
Yeah, I mean, they threw a lot of punches for sure. I mean, Duck Testing was throwing a lot of punches. Ditto was kind of parrying consistently, but the one time they let their guard down, Duck Testing was able to just push it to the limit there. I mean, we saw I think tower control overtime is extremely interesting. No kidding. It kind of, I don't know. It both sucks and it doesn't. It's really interesting in that I feel like everyone's like, oh, it's a guaranteed win. You just throw your strikes at the tower. But it's so easy to mess it up. We saw actually towards the end of that game there, members of Ditto rolled to that first checkpoint where I presume they thought that the strikes were going to come out onto the tower. But as a result of that, they jumped up onto the plat. They tried to get to the bats because that's where Bandit was. That's where the strikes would be coming from. But because they just jumped up and ran forward instantly, they tried to bait the strikes out essentially and were not able to get it in time. The tower rolled up to a very nice spot where they were able to jump on to the tower while the strikes were going off. But just as easily, people can be like, okay, let's defend. Let's stop them at the second checkpoint. But then they end up giving up ground because they stop fighting like, we need to hold our plat. We need to hold our bats because they have those strikes. So people can kind of end up like shooting themselves in the foot a little bit by doing that. It's not like quite the same as like Stingray, which could just kill you from anywhere. Strikes, you need to have the like 1-2 combo. You need to throw it at the tower. You need to be able to stand vulnerable in a place, and you need to have someone go and touch it. So there's kind of an interesting confluence of factors that like go into overtime. Like obviously still if you're winning, you're in a really, really good spot, but the number of times we see the team that's winning kind of beef it, it's interesting.
It's always intriguing to see if it always ends up happening. But the right thing that Duck Testing needed to do was to stagger the trip strikes, and it was pretty much a free path for Riki to just jump into the tower and assume control that way. So it is the one case where it was not the case. So that's how we see Duck Testing move on to semifinals. Great notes there, Fusion, for sure. We